Hello and welcome to another Bella Donna Patch. This is DX Sequence, and let's get into it. There's a lot of interesting stuff in here. So our rate is set to about 9. Our modulation rate is the same way. Cutoff is about 12 in terms of if we turn the mod wheel up, we're using a sine wave. Both oscillators are 16 feet and sawtooths. We've got oscillator 1 up pretty high, oscillator 2 at about 11. And the noise oscillator is all the way up, but that's not going to be noise. You'll see. High pass is variable. And attenuator on the patch is about 9. I'll show you some different stuff you can do with that. This is about 10 o'clock, the cutoff. Our envelope amount is all the way up. Resonance is blessedly all the way down. And we've got a short attack, short decay, medium release. Our sustain is down pretty far, and reverb to taste, as always. And then let's plug this in. So we're going to take the gate out, and we're going to go into sync in. So what this does is restarts the oscillator every time a key is pressed from the keyboard. And let's look at the other side of this. We're going to take wave out from oscillator 2. We're going to go into the high pass, and then back into the noise input. So what that does is replaces noise with high-pass oscillator 2. Okay? What's our next thing? We're going to go, this is one of my favorite tricks for the ARP 2600. We're going to take the sample and hold out to an attenuator, and from the attenuator to the cutoff in. So just looking at this, so gate out is syncing the modulation oscillator. So that means every time a key is pressed, sample and hold resets to a different voltage. Every time that happens, it goes to the attenuator and chooses a different cutoff point for the knob. So really cool. And you can hear all those variations in there, and the more we turn the attenuator up, the more extreme it can get. Subtle if we turn the attenuator down. So it's really cool. It's a way to kind of breathe life into your patch because there's all this variation happening, and you can control the amount with the attenuator, which saves you manual changing of things, and you can also guard against really extreme changes. The last thing we're going to do is take the wave out and go to VCA amount in. So what does this do? I'm going to start a sequence so you can see, because it's easier to kind of turn knobs as we go, if I don't have to try to hold the mic and play and all of that stuff. So I do have a sequence I recorded in here, just something really simple. If we push a key. Okay, so what's it played here? Let's turn off some stuff. I'm going to turn off oscillator 1 and 2 on the mixer, so we're just hearing the noise, which isn't noise anymore. It's oscillator 2 high passed. And for now, I'll unplug this. Okay, so you can hear how we can kind of shape the sound with the high pass. Now, the output of the mixer is still subject to the low-pass filter. So what's happening is we're kind of high-passing and then low-passing, and you're still hearing the variation from the sample and hold going to the filter cutoff. Good. Turn that off. Now, let's look at oscillator 2. So this is meant to kind of have them together. As we move the high pass down, we get more distortion, basically, because, the noise is turned all the way up here, so this is into harmonic distortion through the mixer. And oscillator 1. So what that does is just gives you, it's really hard to get these two exactly perfectly in the same pitch. So the waves kind of vibrating against each other over time makes this sound more complex. And other things we can do, we could take the cutoff way down and turn the attenuator way up. So that gives us like almost mumble spit is what I like to call it, because it's mumbling along and then you'll get one note that jumps out. Okay, and lastly, we're going to plug the wave out into VCA mount in. So what's happening here? Since this resets every single time a key is pressed, the modulation oscillator, the rate introduces ratcheting because it can go faster than the key is pressed, if that makes sense. You're already hearing that to some extent. Now listen to what happens. So we've got ratcheting introduced here. Now, waveform matters because, these other waveforms have rhythm to them. So let's listen. And the square wave's much harsher because it's got bipolar clicks, basically. I mean, personally, I kind of like the sawtooth to some extent more than the sine, but the sine's cool too because it's smoother sounding. A little bit more like pinball if you turn up the sawtooth. Okay, and then the last thing we have is cutoff amount assigned to modulation. So, and rate matters. Rate is going to matter here. So I hope you learned something here. My main takeaways are sort of, this is my favorite trick, is sample, gate to sync, sample and hold to attenuator to cutoff, because you can always get a lot of life into a patch by just having these like little variations in the filter that you don't have to manually control. Just, we play an instrument, people's hands and lips and whatnot have variation, and that's kind of what makes something sound live. So this is an amalgam of that in the electronic world. And then the other cool thing is this wave out to the VCA amount that gives you the ratcheting. Really useful and really something to test out, even not within the context of a sequence, just playing regular stuff. Right, if I hold that, maybe turn the sustain up. So nice variations there, plugging that in that way. So I hope that gives you something to try out.